head coach John Fankhauser for the 2022 National Signing Day class. Coach, it's hard to believe you've already hit another recruiting cycle and another signing days in the books.
Yeah, it was. It seems like for last year it went forever, and this year has gone really fast. So this one's really moved through, and I was really happy with how our coaches and our players and our whole university has stepped up to help us secure these young men as future Cavaliers.
Now, last year you had a lot of seniors that ended their careers, so obviously might have opened up some gaps in the roster. What was the mindset coming out of the 2021 season and into this recruiting class as you set up the team for the future?
Well, like you said, the graduating seniors was a big part of it, making sure we refilled some of those needs, but you typically are going to refill those needs as guys the year before they graduate.
Yeah.
Typically. It doesn't always work like that, but you typically like to do that. But we knew we were going to have some holes and a lot of holes as far as the bigger senior class graduating. So we were looking to fill a lot of the needs in the linebacker, running back, wide receiver, a little bit in the offensive line, and then obviously safety and corners were a big spot for us to really try to hit this year.
Now, looking at the class, what's your overall evaluation of this class coming in for the class of 2022?
I would say our overall evaluation is we have a good group of young men that have the athletic talent to progress and be good college football players. But what I was really excited about and something I challenge our staff with is getting out and making sure we find out about their character, find out about what type of kid they are, what type of person they are. I know I'm famous for asking all kinds of people different questions. But we found out a lot about these young men. And what was really important in this transfer portal day is for them to find out a lot about us and make sure it's a good fit for both parties as we get together and work towards the future of development and making sure we can win football games and all those things.
Now we'll start running through some of the position groups. First, we'll start on the offensive side. Couple of quarterbacks and running backs that you had signed. Kind of walk me through some of those signees that as they play into the Cavalier program.
Good. Quarterback Amari Jenkins is a guy that we really liked and had seen for now a couple years as far as him playing. And Coach Joyce, our quarterback coach, has been on him as far as a recruiter with Coach Streffler as well in his recruiting area. But he was a young man that we really liked his athleticism, liked the way he moved and threw the ball around. Mason Climax, another young man at quarterback that we really like and think has a great potential to progress throughout our program. And then we were able to secure a running back in Jennings, who we had recruited before and knew some things about, but had gone to the Division I level. Now he's transferring back to our level and felt good about the things he provided and the attributes that he has as a running back.
Now, you got 6 wide receivers on this list. Obviously, that was a category that you hit, and you knew you had to. Walk me through some of the guys on the receiving core.
The receiver core is again a group that we feel like we're in the middle of as far as we have some older guys, we have some younger guys, but we just needed to get more depth. And one of the things that we really tried to do is specifically hit certain areas, inside, outside receivers, qualities, catching the ball, route running. We feel really good about all these young men that have chosen Walsh and have become engaged with Coach Nord, our receivers coach, and really have a lot of potential in this group. And I'm really excited to see this group develop and see how they can progress and doing the things that we need them to do on offense. And Garrett Wade's a kid that we kind of recruited again out of high school, but went to another school and decided to transfer back, and we were able to secure him. Brennan Rutherford really had a rough senior year in high school, but we had a lot of good tape on him from his previous years and a good recommendation from his high school coach. Tavion Jackson is a young man that we kind of fell on at the end a little bit as far as the recruiting processes go, but really like the things he does and has an explosive ability in his route running. Blaine Bowman came very highly recommended as well. Brandon Walker, Jordan Barrett, all those guys have a lot of potential to progress in our program.
One tight end on the list, Brennan Schneider, coming to Walsh, and then number of offensive linemen, another area that I know that depth was a big part last year, especially with injuries and moving forward. Tell me about some of the guys that you were bringing in front lines.
Well, we feel pretty good about Brennan Schneider. He's a young man out of the Georgia area and kind of a reach as far as what we go as far as recruiting, but he's got ties to Ohio. Really feel like he's going to be a very solid H-back tight end type kid. He can do multiple things. So we're really excited about what he provides, and he's kind of a little bit of an old school fullback thumper that can get out and catch the ball and do some things. So really excited about him. Jaden Cope, Daniel Gorski, Michael Carr, BJ Donovan, Will Hines, Justin Maddox, and those guys that we have, we feel have a lot of potential. And it wasn't a huge offensive line class for us this year as compared to some other years because we do have some of those guys, but I believe these guys can come in and fulfill needs that we are still lacking in our offensive line. And I'll say this about really our whole recruiting class, but a lot about the tight end and O-line is we're probably not done yet in those areas. We'd still like to add one or two more guys in those areas if we can as we start to find out who signed where and where they're going.
Now we'll flip to the defensive side of the ball. Defense has really been, your guys' calling card over the last couple of years really has fueled the team and kept it the team in games. First we'll start defensive line. Jero Wells coming to Walsh as a part of this incoming class.
Yeah, Gerald's a young man that we've been recruiting for a long time, really, but he ended up getting back to HH Prep, and we saw him there. He's got ties with some of our players that he played with from the Sandusky high school area and had some good connections with him. Coach Furback did a great job with him in the recruiting process. I kind of kid Gerald that he's been here more times than I have, it feels like, as far as the recruiting visits go. But he's a young man that's got a ton of potential. He had a lot of big schools looking at him, and we're really excited to get him and really look to the future for him as far as a force to be reckoned with on the defensive line.
One of the spots you said linebacker, that was a big key going forward, and there's a lot of names on this list, both inside and outside. First, we'll start with the inside backers. You have 7 of them here that are signing. What are you seeing in some of those guys as to what they can bring to Walsh?
Well, there's a lot of athletic ability in that group. In both groups, I'm going to combine the inside and outside linebackers a little bit. We had a lot of injuries last year in our linebacking core, and we thought we needed to get a little bit bigger. We need to get a little bit more athletic, as we always do. But we were able to do that. One of the things I was very excited about is a lot of these guys that are on our board that ended up signing with us are guys that we targeted right out of the gate. And we didn't lose them, or we kept them engaged, and they really liked us, and we did a great job recruiting those guys. Pat McDonald, Christian Jones, Zayden Abuhande, and Antonio Nunley are the inside linebackers that we really targeted right out of the gate, and we're able to get Tobias Grossi, Hunter Vogel, and Nick Napoy from Massillon, a local guy, and really create a lot of depth in that group on the inside linebackers, and it's a lot of athleticism, but those guys are a little bit more the thumpers as far as those guys that hit those fullbacks, if you will, or tight ends and different offensive linemen, and can do the things that we're asking them to do on the defensive side. And then Kevon Markwood, Caden Van Boris, Connor Frisbee, and EJ Sumo are guys on the outside that really contain the defense. So those guys are a little bit more athletic and not as much of the thumper, if you will, but they are athletic and can run with receivers and do the things that Coach Johnston and the defensive staff expect out of that Sam Bandit linebackers to do.
Now we'll go to the secondary. Seems to be a number of players from across the state of Ohio. First in the safety category.
Okay, the safeties, really excited about DJ Reed out of Hoover, a local guy that I fortunately had the opportunity to go see play quite a bit. But Coach Johnson had the ability to bring him in as a recruiting guy, and really like what he brings. Jeffrey Mold, Marvin Conkle, Maceo Powell, and Navion Stedman are all guys that are going to come in and be able to compete. And I'll say this, and this probably goes back to our linebackers a little bit also, if we have good safeties, good linebackers, we're going to be good on special teams. And being the special teams coordinator, I needed those guys because we need a lot of those young men to be able to step in, probably a little quicker than they're technically ready for to be able to give us some consistency and some athleticism on the special teams as well as the defensive side. So we're really excited about those guys. And like I said, our staff did a really good job with this recruiting class as far as hitting our top guys right away.
Now we'll switch to the cornerback position. Another 6 guys incoming for Coach Johnson and the defensive staff. Tavion Jackson, Keon Johnson, Dalen White, some of the guys that are in that group. What are some of the qualities that you've seen which intrigued you to bring them to Walsh?
Their qualities are what we wanted to try to do is we wanted to try to get a little bit longer corner and try to keep the speed and athleticism with those young men as well. And we feel like, Juwan and Keon are those type of guys that can definitely do that. And Jaden Malone as well can do those things that we asked those guys to do. They're all a little bit longer, and they can really be able to go for jump balls and do some of those deep post things that we probably lack a little bit at some certain points. But Coach Johnson, again, coaching the corners, has done a good job. All of our staff really did a great job bringing these guys in. Dalen White, Braden Tillman-Jones, Devin Garnes. Those guys are athletic and they can run and they can cover people. And that's what we really looked for when we were trying to make sure we replenish that group, because that was probably one of our high need areas as well on our team, that we needed to make sure we brought in a lot of guys that can compete and do some of those things.
Then on the special team side, you mentioned Caden Vanderhees as a part of the defense. Kyle Walker from Hubbard coming on in the special teams category. Tell me a little about Kyle and what he might bring to the team.
Kyle is a kicker punter. I look at him and I kidded him in the recruiting part of it that I want to probably start him at punter first, because losing Trey and Mason to our graduating class and having a couple guys back behind those guys, we needed to make sure we had some depth at punter. So I kidded Kyle. I said, I'm going to put you a punter right away, buddy. So here we go. And but he's engaged in that. I think he's excited about that opportunity. But he will kick as well a little bit because he has the ability to do both. And really, for a lot of our kickers, punters, those guys have the ability to do both in high school because they're the best kicker or punter in their school. As they get here, we kind of sort of break them down and see, okay, what do they do best? Like Trey Crockett came in as a kicker, ended up being a 3-year starter at punter. So it always works out that way. Again, Caden Van Boris is a unique young man because he has the ability to long snap, and we felt like we needed to do that. We graduate Johnny Agresta next year, and we're looking forward to having that group replenished. We have some guys on our team that have long snaps, some of them unfortunately, because when Johnny got banged up this year, we went to our second guy, and he got banged up. We went to our third guy, and then went to our fourth guy. So we knew we had to make sure we got some of those young men in. And there's other guys in our recruiting class that have multiple abilities, but Caden Van Boris is one of those guys that has a lot of ability, does a good job at long snapping as well in both the short and the long snaps.
Well, Coach, I know you and the staff are excited about this class, and may not seem, but there's a foot of snow on the ground, but soon enough will be spring ball in preparation for the 2022 season. Thanks so much for joining me to break down this class, and look forward to seeing what's on the board here this spring.
Yep, as you say that, we were going to practice last year at this time, and we had about 19 inches of snow again last year. So I'm happy we're not practicing right now.
Yeah, right.
Again, I want to thank my staff. They did a great job building ties and building relationships with these young men and their families, and did a great job with that. I also want to thank our university, Teresa Riolfi, Steph Cady, Jason Falvis, all the folks that have helped us get a lot of this paperwork and all the things done that we needed to do. Our cafeteria folks for always welcoming our visits when we had big visits, and the group there was great and very receptive of our recruits coming in. And our staff, again, did such a great job building the visits and all the things that we had to try to make sure we made a good connection with these young men. And I'm very proud of those guys for doing those things, and I'm proud of our university for stepping up in a short term and getting some things done when we needed to get done things quickly.
Well, thanks so much. This has been the 2022 National Signing Day Class video with head coach John Fankhauser.